Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to check fresh release from Miniart, which is made in 1/35 scale. It is part of T55 series, but this time it copies Tiran 4 Sharir early type with Dozer Blade, which should be quite interesting build in my opinion, especially in 1/35 scale. So here we have a commercial sample. It means you get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. We are going to open it and check what is hidden inside. First of all, there is no parts count. Here you can see comparison with my hand. It's quite big box and it is also quite heavy. Here on the side you can see some information about manufacturer, barcode and some safety devices, and then on the opposite side we have here one marking option, but I hope there will be more included. It's just a sample of what we can get here. So let's open it. It's a top opening box. So just give me a second. And by the way, the small note is that this is a interior less kit, so we don't get any interior parts. Some modders will be happy to hear it, because not everybody is fan of having parts not visible in the model. But still, as you can see, packaging is really tight, so and everything is packed into one plastic bag. Then we have assembly manual on the bottom, and we are going to check everything one by one. So first of all, we need to open this sealed plastic bag, so I'm going to use scissors in order to cut through and open it. Just give me a second. In the meantime, let me remind you that you can support us financially. It is quite easy to do because we have special button, big red button on the website, and you will be the one who will decide how much you will get for new photo and video equipment, or maybe for new kit. If you want us to test a new kit and you donate in order to get it, just write it in the message, in the donate message, and I will be happy to get this kit and review it for you. Okay, so we are going to start with this small envelope. As you can see, it's a typical thing for Miniart kits which feature P parts. So here we have P thread, which is quite big, but I would say it's typical for T55 family from Miniart in 1/35 scale. So here we have various parts for external detailing. Everything looks completely fine. I've worked with these parts. I can say that they're easy to bend, easy to install on the vehicle, but you will have to use sharp tweezers because some parts are really tiny and it will be really tricky to get them into the right spot without necessary tools. Next we have another sealed plastic bag, so here it is. This one is dedicated to clear sprue and also decals sheet, so just give me a second to open it and we'll take a closer look. I can see that we have more than 2 plastic frames, which are typical for this tank, but first of all let me show you the decals sheet. Here it is. It is printed in decograph and printing quality looks completely fine, so I don't have any complaints here. And we have full number registry, so you're free to replicate whatever you would like to, I guess. Next we start with this new small clear sprue. I'm not sure where these parts will be used, so we will have to check the assembly manual. Next one goes just like this. So this one is more typical. We have here various periscopes, also special lenses for various lights which will be installed on the turret, and molding quality looks fine, but there are no masks included obviously, so you will have to cut them with your own hands, or maybe just to use the periscope paint and replicate transparent sections with such methods, let's say. Here we have more of the various periscopes. Again, they will be inserted in the main hull and also in the turret. Okay. Next we start with first gray plastic sprue. So this one is quite big, I would say, one of the biggest in this kit. Let's zoom out a bit. Now you should be able to see it. So here we have side hull panels, also various accessories for the turret. Here you can see them, also machine gun here. These parts, these are side shelves for the main hull. Also here we have the mud guards which will be placed on the rear side. And everything looks fine. It should be easy to assemble these panels and these ones as well, so don't worry, even though we get separate bits, it should be relatively simple to assemble everything without any extra issues. Next we go on with this interconnection between plastic sprues. So here we have more of the external parts. Be careful with these thin bits because they're really tricky to separate. As you can see, amount of attachment points is quite impressive, I would say. Also here we have the front mud guards, so some modders like to omit them, not to install them on the model. Still, it will be your decision, but here you should also use PE parts from inside. Here you can see this special installation tabs which will help you with guiding the parts into the necessary spot. Okay, next we go on with new plastic frame as far as I can guess. So this one is dedicated to the Dozer Blade parts. Here we have quite large section of it, and I can see that again we will have to combine a lot of panels together. We can zoom in a bit more so that you can check these parts closer. Let's do it like this. So here you can see these parts, and molding quality looks fine. I would rather play with weathering on this bit because it will be one of the most noticeable pieces on your build. So why not to do some fine weathering on this part, maybe to replicate scratched metal, maybe to replicate rusty metal. It will be up to you, but still do it because it will be visible and your model will only win from such approach. Okay, next, what do we have next? Here we start with smaller frames, so be ready for a huge amount of tiny bits. Here we have, for example, the smaller one with turret parts and also some of the hull parts. So here we also have the main barrel, which is molded as a one-piece part, which is really cool because you get it out of the box and it should be easy to use. Just separate it and sand it a bit, and of course you won't have to resort for some additional metal upgrade which will cost you extra money. Next we go on with another plastic sprue, and again here we get the main barrel. Here you can see it, and of course it is also molded as a one-piece part, but I'm not sure which one will be used, so again we will have to consult with assembly manuals. Still, quality looks completely fine, so I don't have any, let's say, problems with this. It's just a matter of careful assembly and you'll be good to go. Next we have pair of the sprues. Here they are. So here we have drive sprockets and various suspension parts. You can see the separate suspension arms. This model can have a flexible suspension, so it will be up to you what you use, but as far as I can guess, these ones won't be used for today's version. We will see. And next we have parts for storage boxes. Here they are. So storage boxes obviously are assembled out of separate bits as well, so be careful while joining all these panels together, but otherwise, I mean, another thing is these thin handles. Again, use plastic saw and you'll be good to go. Okay, next we have here this plastic frame with parts for the turret and also for the engine deck. And also here you can see the mantlet cover. So here, surprisingly, we get it as a one-piece part. In my T55 build, I'll say to you, but we had this part assembled out of separate sections, and of course it is more complicated, but here you get it as a one-piece part, which should be more convincing on the finished model, and of course it will make it easier to install it on the model. Okay, next we go on with just give me a second to pick up this sprue. So here we have various parts for the internal and external detailing. Again, thin frames, and again, be careful with them. Next we have storage boxes. Note that some handles are pre-molded, so they won't be replicated with PE parts. But as far as I know, Edward produced the special PE set for this kit, so if you would like to add even more detailing, you are free to get it, to install it, but I think what you get out of the box should be more than enough. But some modders just want more, so what can I say? Here we have another plastic sprue. This one comes with various tools and items which will be placed on the tank. Of course, everything is molded in 1/35 scale, and it is quite convincing. Shovel molded as a one-piece part, so it's just a matter of careful painting. And again, we have a lot of attachment points on one tool, so be careful and keep it in mind that it is easy to break these points and then really difficult to fix. Here we have 3 identical plastic frames, so here we have various elements for the lower hull section, and it should be easy to install these sections because these parts will actually go into the lower section cutout, so you just install them with the right alignment. Pay attention to this and you will be good to go. Okay, next we have this plastic sprue. It's actually given in the double package, let's say. So just give me a second to get everything in order here and I will show it. Okay, so here we have the drums, but these drums are molded out of 4 parts, whilst T55 featured drums which should be assembled out of separate hulls and then closed with these parts. I think such design will be easier to assemble, and as you can see again we have a lot of thin parts and small beads as well, so be ready for all this stuff. It might get a bit tedious, but it brings some fine detailing on your tank. Okay, next we have sprue with machine guns. Machine guns are more or less fine, I would say, for out-of-the-box inclusion, but in case you would like to have more, better, then you would rather resort to some resin upgrades. Next we have jerry cans, so they're supplied on 2 plastic sprues. These ones should be glued out of 2 hulls. Nothing difficult in my opinion, so it's just a matter of joining them together. Here we have another sprue with various beads for the machine gun. And just give me a second. So overall everything looks fine, so I don't have anything to complain here, so we can move on to the next set of sprues. Here we have 3 sprues with these parts, so these are torsion bars as far as I can understand, and this model should have movable torsion bars, but we will see in assembly manual. And these beads, they will go onto the hull. Okay. Next we have idlers, which are supplied on 2 sprues obviously, and also drive sprocket parts. Nothing I would say that special. Here we have turret ports. I guess these ones are special for the Tiran version, so as you can see we have one-piece top section, but these cutouts will be used for the various hatches panels which will be placed here. And this part I'm not even sure where it will be installed. I guess maybe for the Dozer Blade, maybe somewhere else, we will see. Okay. Next, another set of small frames with parts for the towing cables. And here we have small parts for the spare tracks, I guess. So again, 2 identical plastic frames. Next, another one goes with turret parts. So this one is bigger obviously, so we can zoom out a bit. And here you have to combine the ring which we saw before. You install it here, and then this part goes here. And another interesting thing in that whole internal assembly of the main gun, it will be replicated in this kit, even though this is not an interior kit, so keep it in mind. Maybe you can use it in your build, who knows. Next we go on with this sprue. So here we have hull parts. This is a lower hull panel. Here we have the main gun cover. Here we have various hatches. This is a top hull cover, and if you flip it over, here inside you can see that we have various guiding elements for internal parts, but there won't be any interior, as you remember. So as I said, some modders will be happy to hear this. Okay, next we go on with actually 4 identical plastic sprues. Here we have the same set of parts, so nothing serious I would say. And one more and slightly bigger plastic frame here. So again we have one more barrel which is molded as a one-piece part, so I guess definitely 2 out of these will go into your spare parts and might be used in next builds. Here you have also some parts for the fuel tanks, for the turret here, and fuel lines which are molded as a one-piece part, so be careful with them. It's really tricky thing to get them off the sprue. Last big gray plastic sprue looks like this. So here we have various hull parts, and again, as you can see, everything looks fine. I don't see any flash, just be careful. And really surprising that we do not have any foam here, because on previous releases there was a foam to protect this part. It has really thin teeth, and maybe I can even show it to you. So now camera will focus. Yeah, now you should be able to see it. So here are these teeth. So be sure not to break them off, because otherwise it won't be possible to install this part onto the place. Next we go on with slightly smaller plastic bag. Here it is. So this one is dedicated to track parts and also suspension parts, and again I'm using the plastic, actually scissors, in order to cut through the plastic. So just give me a second to do this, and we will take a look at what is included here. So first of all, we have here the separate track link parts. They are given on several frames. Here they are. Let's zoom in. So even though it might look tedious, assembly will be more or less easy, but there is no template for the assembly. But here, for example, you can see the tracks for T55. I'm assembling my own build, and they're not glued. This is dry fit, so it's just a matter of click-clacking together these links and counting how many you have already assembled. Okay, next we have the suspension parts and also the storage boxes parts. So just give me a second to get them off the plastic bag, and I'll show them to you. Okay, it's really difficult task to get everything out of the plastic bag. So, okay, here we go. These road wheels, I don't understand one thing, why we have small amount of flash in road wheels. It seems like the whole kit is molded in a nice quality, but still road wheels get some flash in this cut out holes. Obviously you have to remove it, so don't forget about it, because otherwise it will be a weird looking tank. Here we have parts for the fuel tanks and also some minor elements, minor panels. Again, everything looks fine, and fuel tanks will be upgraded with PE handles. And here we have some of the suspension parts. Okay, so, and one more by the way here, I'm not sure what it will be used for. Maybe for the Dozer Blade, I guess. Maybe. But now we are going to check it, because here, as the last component, we have the assembly manual. So let's zoom out a bit. Now you should be able to see it. So this is a typical Miniart brochure. It is printed in color. Here we have short list of the features and workable torsion bars, by the way. So here we have marking guides. First marking option comes from August 1973, another one 1973, 1974. Then we go on with parts map and paints chart here. And of course there is no marking on which parts won't be used in this build. Then assembly process starts with lower hull section, so you have to install these separate sections which I was mentioning before. Then we go on with torsion bars, so you can assemble torsion bars for the movable finish, or you can just fix them in place with short parts, but it will be your decision. Here we continue with closing the suspension parts. Next we install some PE parts, surprisingly, already on this stage. Then we go on with sidewalls. Sidewalls should be combined together with interior walls, even though there is no interior. Here you can see that some parts can be not used, so as you can see this PE part can be omitted if you would like to. And the same, I guess, goes for these parts, maybe. Anyway, here we have the firewall for the engine compartment, road wheels assembled. Then we assemble the glacis plate. We install road wheels on the plates, but obviously nobody will do this. Here we continue with assembly of what is this, I guess. I wonder. I guess this is a rear section of the vehicle. Yeah, for the exhaust section. Here you can see it. And next we continue with engine deck. A lot of P parts on this special scoop, which will be in the rear. The same goes for the engine deck, because you install a lot of meshes. Here we work on the side shelves, and as you can see, a lot of stuff is installed without being attached to the tank. So first of all, I would recommend to attach these side shelves and then install all the tanks, fuel tanks and other stuff on this tank. Here, by the way, you can see the P parts in the front mud guards. Next we continue with various minor parts for the stowage boxes, and then only then you install the side skirts, which is really surprising. I mean, they had the different sequence in previous kits. Next we continue with turret assembly, so it's just a matter of assembling the main gun and then installing the spare tracks. Here installing these cutout sections with hatches. Next we assemble the machine gun here. One more step involves the gun cover, and here you can see that it should be glued out of several pieces, so I actually use this part, which is not that cool because you have to sand these joints. Here you assemble the jerry cans and also special holder out of P parts. Be ready to use your own benders, I guess. Next we start assembling the Dozer Blade, I guess, because it will be going on the front side, and as you can see it will involve a lot of parts altogether, so quite a kit on its own in my opinion. Then you join all this stuff together. It means turret, hull and Dozer Blade. And here we have another marking option from 70s, one more from 1973, and one more from 1973 again. So I guess 6 marking options, maybe, right? Or maybe less, 5? So still more than one is what we saw on the box. And as I said, this kit should be already available on official ModeliMax webshop. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about this kit. Write it here in the comment section below. Would you prefer this tank with interior or without interior, for example? And if you like this video, of course, press the like button because it helps us greatly. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!